So I played, this is round two. Um, Again, if you like this sort of content, thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate you liking and sharing. This is round two of the late spring Swiss. So this is, for me, this is the last round. I only played the first two rounds of this particular tournament. I dropped out last week and I'm dropping out this next week, so I had to withdraw because I was going to concerts that I had scheduled. So I'm only playing two rounds, and as you guys can already see, I won this game, and this was from the black side. If you like this sort of content, please like and share. It does show me that you like this and you are seeing improvement in your own games from this type of analysis. So let's take a look. I had not played, I played Sean before, but I was white. So this time I get to play him as black. And I'm playing a Queen's Indian defense, which is the first time I'm playing it. And I'm not super familiar with all the plans, but I get the general idea and setup. And I think a lot of the ideas are around trying to play e5. So we get to this position, and I was like, okay, well, I get safely castled, and I am one move away from being completely developed, and my opponent is still one move behind. And I thought, okay, well, I feel like I'm doing pretty well out of the opening. I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted. I was allowed to freely develop without much contention. And now my opponent decides to contest the center. And I thought, well, okay, that's fine. I have this, reverse Kali Zukertort type of position. And I understand that he can't really push c5. So he's really contesting the center, but any of these exchanges really kind of work in my favor. He can't push here because I have this pawn protecting that. So, and if he trades here, I'm getting some things opened. I can even always bring this here, or even bring my bishop here if I wanted. But I went ahead and went after e5 straight away, just because Franklin. We have this and this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave you right here, and you guys can think about it. I have to go put my kids to bed. So give me a minute. I will be right back. You guys take a look at this position and see what you guys want to come up with. I should have probably covered the move order, but that's okay. You guys can see a little bit how it's going. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Greeted by a chair. You're welcome. Okay, let's get back into it. Sorry about that. So I played e5 here. Maybe it's not the best move. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. But the idea is to, obviously play this. We want to smash them. That's the idea. But my opponent's clever. Sean plays really well. And we have a few trades. And I get a nice open file to which he is able to respond to very easily. And here, I probably should have played this differently. I was, I think, a little overzealous in my attack is the wrong word to say, but no, well, yeah, yes and no. I make some mistakes, and this is due to my lack of knowledge in the Queen's Indian defense, and or the reverse Kali Zukatort, whichever you want to call it. I sort of misplay the next few moves, and it puts me in this really difficult position. And here I played knight to e4, and thinking, oh, well, I can, get some trades and try to maybe have the bishop pair and really get this strong attack. I'm not exactly sure what my thought process was here. I think I just kind of spaced out and then played a move. Honestly, I can't even remember what my thought process was here, why I actually was making this move, because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, that move is just so bad. I mean, I guess it's a move. It's not totally bad. I think I was just looking at this type of thing. It's not. I mean, it's not bad, but it's certainly not good, mainly because of this move here. And now I have some serious problems. And I thought to myself, well, now I'm just dumb because I can't even just go back. There's multiple threats. I can't take his knight because that's checkmate. I'm not sure if you guys see that, but if we go here and I've lost, so that's no good. So he's got these multiple threats, and it's just looking bad for me. And I have, if I don't just go back, yeah, it's just not good. Bad things. So I've left myself open to counterplay, and it was not good. Now, I think the best move, I think it's okay. I think I'm okay here still, actually. I think I'm fine. Evaluation-wise, I think I'm actually doing all right. I think the move to play here is queen to d6. I believe this is the move to play. And I think I'm okay. And then we continue on. Problem is, I think everything's all right. I think that move just holds everything. Going back further, though, I don't think I should have played that move. I think it's a fine move to play, but I think probably queen to d6 right here is probably the move to play. Perhaps. Actually, I don't like that either. mainly because knight f3, and now there's not really a place for my bishop to go. I'm not really sure what to play here, which is probably why I made the move I did, because I'm unfamiliar with his position and I don't understand it. Maybe just take the pawn, but yeah, it looks tough. So I played this, and now I've got this problem, and I ended up playing queen to f6, and I'm sure you guys can see the next move and where this runs into problems, which is now I've lost a central pawn, and that was just a mistake. And I still can't take his knight because there's still checkmate threats on h7. Just bad news. I've put myself in a really tough spot putting my knight on e4 and caused all sorts of problems. Yeah, just not not a good place to be. Bummer. So now I'm kind of like upset and kind of irritated with my poor play, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get out of this problem, because now I feel as though I'm about to lose a piece. Now he has 2 pieces on my knight, and I can't take it back. What do I do? And I came up with this particular sequence, which I didn't like at all, but it was the only way to save my piece, and it's ugly, but it saves a piece. And I thought, you know what? I don't know that I have any other choice. I think I have to go into this sequence, and I'm going to have to play a difficult endgame and just expect that I can hopefully outplay my opponent with stronger endgame play, because this is positionally one of the worst games I have ever played. And I'm probably being hypercritical of myself, but I feel it's necessary at this point because I've made some gross errors. So I attack his queen, and think, okay, well, if he takes my knight, I can take his queen, he'll take my queen, I'll take his knight back at the end of the sequence. Now, this is tough to find. It is difficult because it's so ugly, but it works. And if he just takes with the bishop, I win a queen. I think you just got infected with radiant syndrome. Yeah, possibly. I'm not sure. I was not sure exactly what was happening. I've made some gross errors, and I found a sequence that doesn't lose me a piece. But look at this ugly position. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's going to play e4, and now I have to figure out how to progress from here. And it's ugly. It's so ugly. It's so bad. And his bishops are going to be way more dominating than mine, because any rook move I make, he's going to be able to attack it with tempo. And I can see this. I can see it all happening. I've calculated far enough to know that the e7 and d7 squares are almost completely off limits for my rooks. My only saving grace is the e7 square is protected by my bishop. So I have a little bit of a square there. And what I see as the issue is my c7 pawn. I have to control and keep my c7 pawn. If I can keep my c7 pawn, I have chances to win this game. So I'm at the point now where I have to keep myself calm, and I have to unwind my pieces I have to protect the c7 pawn and get my king active. Now, looking at this particular position, you might think, how are you going to do that? And I saw so many different things. And I knew that he would play e4 because his pawn's under attack. He has to do something about it. And I think the bishop to c4 is too passive, and bishop to e4 just looks weird. So e4 is a pretty standard move. And that's what he played. So now maybe there's a way to do something else about it, but okay. And here I thought to myself, well, I have two moves. I can play rook to d8, or I can play bishop to e5 and try to provoke him to play f4 so I can open up lines to his king. And I thought, well, his next move, if I play bishop to e5, I thought this move was okay, because if he plays bishop to g5, I can play f6 and then king to f7, and I'm okay. If he plays f4 and then I play, bishop to d4 check, he moves his king, and then he gets in e5, and he's got this pawn structure. Here, let's take a look. If I play here, I guess I don't even have to play there. I could just do this. This was a move I considered as well. And I thought, well, he might just want to try to trade off that bishop, which I think I'm okay with. So I think either one of these moves are okay. But I saw this, and I saw this being a problem. Okay, that's fine. Great, whatever. And then I thought, well, I don't really have much of a plan after this. What am I going to do? Okay, well, if I move my king anywhere on this diagonal, I'm going to have to be forced to trade no matter what. And I don't know that I want that. I want to keep the pieces on the board because I feel like I've got better chances with my destroyed pawn structure. Right? So, if I make any move, whatever it is, no matter what it is, his next move is going to be, let's just put a move on the board. This. Well, it has to be prepared because of this pawn, but I didn't like this. Center is just so menacing, and let's say he even prepares for it. He can't do that yet. I guess maybe this is okay. Maybe he just prepares here. I'm not sure. Not there. Right here. I didn't calculate very far, but what I did see was if he got his pawn to here and he had this set up, and for some reason this was still protected, I didn't like this. This was almost like super losing for me. So I didn't like that. So I ultimately didn't play that game. And I played this move instead. And he played bishop to f4, which I anticipated, going after the pawn. And then I thought that he would come here. And then I would say, okay, well, we're going to come here. And he's going to come here. And then we're going to go here. And now, okay, I have a game. Now he's got to deal with this pawn. He'll probably protect it. And then we'll go from there. Okay, that's what I saw. He didn't play that, though. He did play this, and then he played that. And I thought, oh, okay, well, now I have a chance to trade how I want to trade. So I can push him back a little bit. Which I'm rather excited about. So what I thought that he might do is do this and force the trade. And I was like, well, I'm happy to do this. Thank you very much. Now I can gain this guy, and we're okay. I I'm, I think I'm happy with this because he's going to have a lot of trouble protecting that pawn. I don't even have to take the file. I can just, yeah, I think I'd probably take the file. Or I'd protect this pawn and then go after that pawn. But I think I feel like I've solved some of my problems. That's what I saw. And he didn't make that move. He came back. I thought, oh, okay. Well, now I can try to force a trade of this bishop. And I feel like now that this bishop is not kind of controlling these squares back here, that it's okay to do. Even if he trades here and then does this, I can just come back and I feel like I'm okay because now I'm protecting this guy and he can't push this forward. If he does push this forward, he's going to lose that pawn. And his big center is now only 2 pawns, and I'm okay with that. And I'm unwinding a little bit. And I thought, well, if he doesn't trade, if he doesn't trade, it's extremely favorable for me no matter where he goes. And he went here. And I was like, wow, that's like the worst move to make. So I played naturally. And I thought, okay, well, now he's going to finally decide to go back because no forward squares are good. And he's going to, move back. I know, right? Like, this looks way better. I mean, it's not amazing, but I feel like I've got some breathing room. Like, and if we just go back to right here, when he played e4 on move 17, and then we look at move 22 5 moves ago, I'm feeling great. So here I was like, and I wanted this. I'm like, okay, I thought he was either just going to move here right away or he was going to come back to one of these 2 squares. I didn't really care where he moved. I was happy for him to move no matter what. If he traded, he traded. But he moved here, and I was like, okay, thanks for the tempo, and now I've got a square for my king. Great. He moves here, and I get a square for my king. I thought at this point he would not bring his bishop in because that just seems like a bad square. That he would almost undoubtedly come back to here or back to here. And I think either one of those are way more favorable than the other because he can now get his bishop over here. If he's out here and then here, and he gets his control here. And I have a lot of trouble dealing with this pawn. The c7 pawn is still a weakness for me that I have to deal with. But he's moved here, and I was like, okay, great. Let me get my king into the game, and now I'm unwinding, and now I've got really good ideas. Now I've got counterplay. And I think, okay. And then once this happened, I was like, okay, I have winning chances now because of, the open G file. I now have winning chances. Now, it's easily stifled by G3, but I now feel as though I have counterplay, I have activity, and if he plays G3, I always have these moves, and now I am starting potentially mate threats of my own. That's what people at this level do. They play way above their rating for 20 moves, and then they make 4 bad moves in a row. Yeah, exactly. They've know a lot of tactical sequences, but none of this is tactical. This is all positional, which is where I shine. And we're getting into territory that making these quiet moves and controlling and maneuvering moves are better for me because I understand that I need to get king activity. I understand I need to gain counterplay with open files. I know what squares I need to control, and I know what squares I need to open up. whereas my opponent, being less experienced, doesn't know what it's tough. If you are white, let's take a look at this here. Let's go back to where it was bad for me. Move 17. And you look at this and you try to come up with a plan. You're a more tactical player, though you maybe don't like confrontation. How do you progress from this position? Your pawn's under attack, so obviously the natural move is to protect it. So e4 is a very natural move, which anybody would make. I feel as though even me looking at this, I would make that move, because there's really no way to contest it. But I identify that right there as a potential target, and then I identify all of this badness, and I say, okay, that's great. And my next move is going to be that guy attacking that rook and gaining this wonderful amount of activity. And then I see this move and gaining more activity. And then I start controlling all of these squares. And that's just dominating any of his potential counterplay. Plus F3 always gets me a connect 4. Yes, absolutely. Right, exactly. If I even get in F5 in a perfect world, it doesn't matter. I still gain a strong center. So it's tough, and it's tough to develop a plan. I see these plans really quickly, but he did admit to me that he was just like, well, I want to protect my pawn, and after that, I didn't really know what to do. And that's completely fine. Not many people would. This is a tough position to play. And he even told me, he's like, I should have traded off your bishop. And I told him, I'm like, I think that's probably your best option, but I don't think it's good. So he comes back and I get this wonderful position. And if we look at it from White's point of view, now look, White, Black's made progress and White has made no progress except moving a bishop around. Nothing else has changed. To just move this bishop around, not making any forward momentum at all. So yeah, it's tough. This might be one of the better endgames I've played, with the exception of one move that I've made a mistake on. And all right, he plays g3 and I gain the file. And I thought to myself, there's no way. Is he really going to play f5 or bishop f4? That'd be great. Play bishop f4. That'd be fantastic. I'm seeing this and I thought, well, I think I'm provoking f4 here, and now I'm getting a lot of what I want. f4, and bam, we get one of my things that I was wanting. I get an active bishop on a potential square that there's no way it's going to be attacked anytime soon, and I always have this square to come back to. We get some activity finally. And now at this point I feel as though I have big potential for winning, because I found this move. And he essentially trapped his bishop in by forcing me to move my bishop. So f4 was a blunder, because now he lost a piece. And now I'm up a piece, and now I know for sure I have extreme winning chances. And I thought, oh well, now I've connected my pawns. This is huge. But now he's got these pawns that could be dangerous. Yeah, he forced me to do the right thing. I of course I calculated these things. I thought, well, I'm gonna play rook to g8 because it's a good move to play, and if he plays f4, it's just bad news for him because he's going to trap in his bishop. So at this point, when he played g3, I saw the trappable piece, and I thought, okay, I feel as though he really wants to play f4. That's the whole reason for playing g3. Otherwise, you wouldn't play g3 if you didn't want to play that. There's no point to play g3 except to play f4, and he did exactly that. So, and what I thought was interesting is that he moved his piece instead of just letting me take it and having a weirdly placed rook, which would be the best option, and then playing for the center. He moved it here and allowed me to take it with a pawn, further allowing me to unwind and get my rooks into the game even more. So I took the bishop and he pushed forward, and which was another mistake, and I took his pawn. I'm not sure what his bet. I thought for sure he was going to play f5 here, and then we kind of go from there. And now I feel as though I've completely unwound my position, and now it's just a matter of time before I can get maneuvering of my pieces around, get my king to the right place, and before I can just win the game, because now I'm a piece up. And he pushed forward and he lost another pawn, and with check, and he moved forward, and I thought, oh, so he was looking for this mating attack, or not this mating attack, but this discovery, which I saw happening. And he moved forward, and I thought, oh, well, now I can maybe trap his king and get a mate. And I pushed him forward. He came through, and now I moved my rook. I'm protecting both these pawns with one move. Great. That's awesome. I'm doing really well. And now all I have to do is hang on to my pieces, and I should be fine, right? So he plays here, forces some trades, and I'm like, oh, all I have to do is get my bishop onto the d8 h4 diagonal, and I've won the game. All I need to do is put him in check, and it's game over. So I prepare for that. He attacks me, which I was expecting. He comes here, and he brings his rook in, and I thought, oh, well, now I can win an exchange. And I thought, oh, well, I'll just win the exchange, because if I play rook to e7, he's not going to take it. He's just going to move his rook, So I forced the exchange, or I didn't force it. I guess I did force it. And here I made a blunder. The engine doesn't tell me it's a blunder. I've already looked at this. It's not a blunder because I'm still so far ahead that I'm a full rook ahead. I can give my rook back. That it saw that my move is still okay, but the really nice move here, which he found, was f5, and he found it almost pretty immediately. I was like, oh, dang it. Why didn't I just play, rook takes rook and just be up a clean rook and then have an easy winning endgame and go from there? These pawns will be easy to deal with, and it'll be fine. No, I made it harder on myself, and I dealt with his pawns this way. He attacked my rook as one would, and I thought, well, if I'm going to lose it, I'm going to lose it the way I want. And now he has no way to keep protection of this particular pawn. I'm going to win it in forced trades, because he's going to be greedy, and instead of going king to f4, he's going to play king takes f5. Now, what he probably should have played here was rook to e4. And protecting both of these. But I still get this, and I thought that this would happen. I thought this would be good, and I was like, okay, well now we have to figure out how to play from here. And I think this is still very much winning for black. Um, it's certainly much easier to play for black. I can dislodge this pawn and start pushing this other pawn. This is pretty much winning for black. I felt like that would have been the way to go. But he played here, and I thought, okay, well, he's going to be greedy, and he's going to try to go after these pawns, and he's going to get stuck. And he did. He went after the pawns, and which I thought he would do. And I have this 3-1 majority, and he's got a 2-1 majority. But his king's in the way. He can't queen any of those pawns. I thought, oh, well, and I thought also that if he decides to do anything nonsensical, that I have checkmating possibilities as well. So here's the sequence that I saw. If he decided to take the pawn, I was going to go here, he was going to go here, and I was going to force a rook trade. And now I can just queen the pawn. I saw that. He didn't play that. He came here instead, and I thought, oh, well, I can win the rook, and now I save my pawn, and I'm going to win the game. And this is pretty much a theoretical win for black at this point. I made it much harder on myself with this sequence here, but it's still winning. But yeah, overall, a good game from Sean. I'll kind of buzz through the rest of it. He was clearly frustrated, and he made this move, and then I made this move, and he like shook his head, and he was frustrated, like I keep making more mistakes, and because now I don't have to really worry about this pawn. He can't take it. Pretty much textbook at this point, and he resigned here. Yeah, overall, a pretty good game. I made it difficult on myself in the opening, obviously, and at the end, after I unwound my pieces. So this game kind of illustrates how you can play a game and get to a position like this and be like, wow, this is just absolutely atrocious. But if you really sit and buckle down and say, well, okay, I know my endgame principles, and I know that I have to get my king active, I have to get my pieces active, and I want to keep my pieces on the board, and identify where your weak spots are and protect them, you can win a game. And this, on move 16, I don't know what the evaluation is here, but this is probably lost for black. Like, endgame wise, this is absolutely horrible. Positionally, I feel at this point, black is probably lost with perfect play. Now, obviously, we're class players, so perfect play doesn't happen. So this kind of demonstrates how if you're patient and slow in an endgame, and you just kind of methodically improve your pieces one by one, you can win pieces and gain tempo and gain initiative and actually end up getting checkmating attacks if your opponent does not know some of these key concepts. Now, what I should have played right here was this. Because what is he going to do? He has to move back. I'm up a clean piece. If he goes here, it's checkmate. So, yeah. So, you know, this is an exercise in playing patiently. Now, I should have moved here, and it still would have been a game, but maybe my move was still good. I think it's okay still. But yeah, overall, Sean played a really great game. He needs to study some endgame work, and positional ideas in the endgame are very important. I'd been studying the endgame quite a bit, so this came very naturally and easy to me because I'd been studying the end game a lot, and it worked out in my favor. So, yeah, Sean played a great game. So, great job to my opponent. And I finished this particular tournament with 1.5 out of 2. So, I can't complain about that.